What's up everyone, this is Tony with JRNYcrypto. In this video we're going to be talking about the crypto news and markets. We do have the first Bitcoin ETF going live tomorrow in the next 24 hours. So it's very possible we do see Bitcoin break previous all-time highs here by this time tomorrow. So in this video we're going to go over some big things and discuss this and possibilities. Before we get started, I do appreciate if you guys like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit the bell to be notified for regular crypto videos. So things are looking great in the crypto markets today. We're less than 24 hours away from the first Bitcoin futures ETF going live. And this is going to be a groundbreaking moment for history, especially if we get Bitcoin breaking previous all-time highs of around $64,000 on the same day that the first Bitcoin ETF goes live. This is going to be massive and be all over the news. And I really think this is going to start kicking in more retail FOMO, and we're going to get more investors coming to the space than ever before. And I really think this is just the beginning of something huge. I definitely think a $100,000 Bitcoin is still very possible by end of year, and I'm actually pretty bullish on 2022 as well. So Bitcoin has been bouncing around between $60,000 and $62,000 leading up to the actual launch. Though, if everything goes smooth here, I do expect us to be breaking previous all-time highs. I think there is a lot of fear in the markets over the weekend that there would be some sort of delay with this, or it would get denied last minute. But if this does go live tomorrow, that's going to be extremely bullish. That means more Bitcoin ETFs are going to shortly follow. And that means more accessibility to cryptocurrencies, more exposure. All the major news outlets are going to be covering this, like I stated, and breaking previous all-time highs at the same time. Everyone's going to be talking about this, and that's really going to help retail FOMO peak again. So ProShares Bitcoin ETF to debut on New York Stock Exchange on October 19th. The first Bitcoin futures linked ETF is finally launching in the United States after years of effort. So at the peak of the last bull market, we also had hype that there would be a Bitcoin ETF, and that would help pump the markets, but that never came. And now finally in 2021, we're getting the first Bitcoin ETF. Even if it's just futures and not spot trading, we will eventually get that as well. And this is a huge push towards mass adoption and definitely necessary. So BITO will continue the legacy of ETFs that provide investors convenient liquid access to an asset class. 1993 is remembered for the first equity ETF, 2002 for the first bond ETF, and 2004 for the first gold ETF. 2021 will be remembered for the first cryptocurrency linked ETF. So I believe that 2021 is now the biggest year for cryptocurrency to date. We have the first Bitcoin ETF going live. We had the first country make Bitcoin legal tender. We had companies and institutions get into Bitcoin for the first time ever. This is really the very beginning of mass adoption in my opinion, and I actually believe that 2022 is going to be much bigger. So this article states, here's why analysts are saying no FOMO ahead of Bitcoin's ETF launch. The upcoming launch of a Bitcoin ETF has bulls proclaiming that a $100,000 Bitcoin price is imminent. So I really don't think that's imminent. I don't think that's coming in the next month even. I do think it's going to take time to play out. Of course, I would be happy to be wrong on this as well. So in the short term, I do think things will pump, but I think it's very likely we'll test 70,000 or 75,000 and then have a decent pullback as well. We did talk about this in yesterday's video. So we broke those last two major resistance levels here, and our next major resistance is the previous all-time high that we only hit for a couple days here mid-April. So beyond that, we will be in price discovery mode, especially with all these Bitcoin ETFs launching, all the hype that's going to come out of this. But we also have to keep in mind here that we haven't had a solid retracement or correction since the end of September. And as you guys can see, this has just gone straight upwards, pretty much no real correction in the last couple of weeks. And we did have a solid correction here after the market did bottom that Wyckoff spring on July 22nd. So that did have a correction down to $40,000, retesting that. I did talk about the possibility of retesting 50,000. And this article actually states that we could be seeing a cup and handle signal for Bitcoin if we do retest around $52,000 here. So that would be a great signal, and this could actually indicate we could be moving upwards towards $100,000 in the next couple months here. So a cup and handle signal is exactly what it sounds like. Giant cup here where we did peak out here. There was a big market correction. Things took time, but we did recover. We got back to the previous all-time high here, and then you have a correction which creates that handle, and that's the cup and handle, and then that's generally a good indicator that things will blast off from there. So it really doesn't matter if this cup and handle signal plays out. I think we're going to be testing a $100,000 Bitcoin by end of year regardless. So over the next couple days, if everything goes smooth, which I do expect it will, and we break the previous all-time high of 64,000, I think a lot of retail FOMO will be kicking in. We'll be testing $70 to $75,000 before actually having this major correction, where our new support is likely to be in between here, between $57,000 and $60,000 Bitcoin, a new higher low. And of course, that would be a great signal as well, and we would be on a general uptrend here towards end of year, approaching $100,000 Bitcoin. So Bitcoin RSI strength suggests that Bitcoin price is still far from its cycle top. Sentiment may be in an extreme greed territory, but math-based metrics continue to leave the door open for further Bitcoin price gains. So just because we're in the extreme greed territory doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to have a dip anytime soon, but I do recommend having a good entry and exit strategy for this reason. And personally, I do like to take profits along the way. And right now I'm not really taking any profits. I'm just looking to diversify and get into some small cap altcoins that haven't really moved yet. But if we do start approaching $80,000 to $100,000 Bitcoin, that's when I'm going to start taking profits along the way and then buying back in if we do have any major dips. So if you guys do want to check out my strategy, it's the pinned video on my YouTube channel, and in the top right of this video you will find a link to my crypto guides playlist with lots of great value. I do recommend sending that to anyone you know that's new to the crypto space, just so they have a better experience and they're more successful in the long term. So I do want to quickly go over this article. I think it's pretty bullish, and you can definitely use this to your advantage to be a better long-term trader. So Bitcoin has barely started its run to new all-time highs if its relative strength index repeats historical behavior. Update on the 2-week RSI channel, which is called every Bitcoin top and bottom in history. So looking at that, you can be a better long-term trader, but this is every bull cycle, every 3 to 4 years. So current RSI value is at 68, projected top value is 93 to 94. Every time it's broken the EQ, it's visited the top, clear skies ahead. Don't forget this when it comes time to reinvest at the bottom as well. So you could use this in both ways. You can see when this breaks below this line, that's generally the best entry point in every bull and bear cycle. And then when it peaks at 93, 94 in this RSI indicator, that's generally the peak of the market, when you should definitely be considering taking profits off the table to reinvest when this drops back down. So history has proven RSI to be a key factor in tracking Bitcoin price strength on longer time frames. A 90+ reading has coincided with tops, and until this level is broken, Bitcoin spot price action trends higher. So that's definitely a good signal, and we have a bit of ways to go here, and this is actually projecting a Bitcoin price of $200,000 to $300,000 before this actually peaks. So we have had a lot of analysts predicting prices like that. Anywhere from $150,000 to $300,000 Bitcoin is most common. Personally, I'm just saying $100,000 to be conservative and be realistic here as well, but still very bullish for end of year regardless, and even more bullish on the small cap altcoins and new NFT sets. So we have institutional managers hold a record $72.3 billion of crypto, says CoinShares. Bitcoin and the broader cryptocurrency market are bullish again. Institutional investors have increased their allocation accordingly. So this is the biggest year yet for institutions, and it's only going to get bigger from this point. Imagine this becomes a norm for every institution and company to be allocating at least a small percent of their reserves to holding Bitcoin, Ethereum, and other cryptocurrencies, even NFTs as well. As we saw Visa buying a CryptoPunk, I'm sure they'll buy a Bored Ape and some other NFTs eventually, just to get that marketing and support. But regardless, this is massive. I do think this is going to continue growing as well, and this is just the very beginning. When you're talking about institutions, $72 billion is nothing. So imagine if we did get someone like Apple or Amazon putting just 2 or 3% of their cash reserves into Bitcoin. That would be a few $1 billion or more investment. So I think it's also going to become the norm for big companies to start dollar cost averaging, how MicroStrategy has been doing, buying a few $100 million of Bitcoin here and there anytime there's a big price dip. That has worked out great for MicroStrategy so far, seeing that we're at all-time highs again. They did get the majority of their Bitcoin around 20,000 as well, but they continue buying it even over $50,000, which is a great vote of confidence from them. They have been huge for the crypto space and the development this year. So over the last few days, we did have the major gaming platform Steam announce that they banned blockchain related games. This is unfortunate, but it is expected since it is a conflict of interest for them. We actually had the company Epic stating they welcome blockchain games, but don't expect any Fortnite NFTs. So we're still extremely early to the NFT space, which is why I don't believe we're going to see any major game like Fortnite adopting NFTs anytime soon. I think it's going to be 2 to 5 years minimum before we get a major game like this adopting NFTs. But I do think in the future, 5 to 10 years out, it will become the norm for players to own NFTs for their in-game items and actually have true ownership over their items, how it should be, and then they could sell them. The company doesn't actually own their in-game items that they work so hard for and put so much time in for. So I definitely recommend keeping your eye on the blockchain gaming space. Tons of potential here for both altcoins and NFTs. Personally, my top pick right now is the Sandbox Sand token, but there's going to be hundreds of games developing in this space with tons of opportunity. So just keep your eye out. Make sure to do your proper research, especially if they're selling you an altcoin or an NFT. You do have to do your extra research and make sure it's something that you actually believe in, that the team can actually achieve, because some of these are just not going to achieve anything and they're going to fade out. A lot of these are going to be scams as well. So just be very careful out there and do your proper research. So that's it for today's video. I hope you guys found it useful. Hopefully everything goes great in the next couple days. We break previous all-time highs for Bitcoin. Things really start heating up in the crypto space here, and we have a great end of year. Everything's looking great, and really looking forward to what happens here by end of year. So again, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.